Welcome to a very special edition of the What's Next podcast. Of course, we're all in our bubbles at the moment with what's going on with coronavirus, but we still made this one happen. We thought it'd be great for you guys to hear from a non-client who operate 3 gyms in the Waikato. You're going to hear from Lennie from Fitzone and find out what they've been doing to communicate with their staff, their customers, whether they saw this coming, whether they've been modelling any financial data, and what advice they'd have for other business owners out there. Tune in, enjoy this. Write down a couple of notes. You will learn something. Hopefully, we'll be all back out there soon, living our normal lives again. But in the meantime, if we can provide plenty of value for you guys, we'll be more than happy to. So sing out if you have any content ideas and we'll get those out for you. Right, enjoy this episode. Right, we're here tonight with Lennie from Fitzone. And I'll let you introduce yourself, mate, because I do way too much talking to people that are listening to us anyway. So tell us a bit about yourself.
Kia ora koutou, ko Lennie Takainga no Fitzone Aotearoa. My name's Lennie Brookie. I am director alongside with my wife of Fitzone New Zealand. And yeah, basically we have 3 gyms, one in Matamata, one in Paeroa, and one in Te Aroha. And yeah.
And just disclaimer for those watching, Lennie is not a client of Next Advisory. We just get on really well and we're watching your guys' journey. I'm actually wearing one of our clients' shirts here from the start.
Nice.
Yeah, mate, but I've been trying not to eat their cookies, mate, because obviously it adds to the skin folds, you know. So in preparation for this, I've then put on the shirt instead of eating the actual cookies. But I thought it'd be good to catch up with you. And obviously we've been doing a lot of content talking about what people should be doing. And I think sometimes it can probably get a little bit a bit droney from us because we're always talking at people. So I thought instead let's change it and have a conversation with another business owner that's not a client of ours, completely unrelated, in a space where basically everything's been taken away from you guys, and just find out how you're coping with it. So I guess we'll start there. Like, how big an impact and what's the journey been like so far since this all started?
Yeah, so impact's been rather large, I guess you could say. At the start, I mean, when it started to get quite a bit serious, we sat down and devised a bit of a strategy plan. As we put out, before the government we had like stages or levels to it, where we'd start stepping back certain parts of the business and then kind of offering like the bare basic offering to our members as things started to kick off. Then they announced the levels, and then 2 days later it was like level 4, like shut everything up. So for us, that went from 0 to 100 real quick, and it was just, the tap got turned off on all incoming revenue instantly, pretty much. We got one more. We had a week of payments because it's like a week out later you get payments for, and like with gym memberships, obviously, most people are paying weekly. So pretty much, I'd say about 98% of our members pay weekly. And so we just put them all on pause, and that's how that bit happened.
Wow. So everybody's on pause. You guys have got no revenue through this until basically the other side. I assume you guys have applied for the subsidy.
Yep, correct. Got the subsidy.
Yeah, to help pay wages. How scary is that, knowing that you're not going to have any revenue?
Well, no one's really actually asked me that straight up, actually. It's pretty scary. I mean, I've got pretty good relationships. I've always tried to build good relationships with, the landlords of the places we rent and all our suppliers of like gear and everything. For moments, not necessarily like this, but, I guess moments like this. And so I've just been straight away, like a week out, I was already opening that dialogue with them to try and make sure that, hey, if shit hits the fan here, we'll have zero income and we probably won't be able to pay you for a little bit kind of talk.
Yeah.
So we had those conversations, and then the subsidy, got onto that as soon as we could. The accountant we use, who isn't you guys, got onto it straight away for me. And then so on the Monday before lockdown, we got confirmed that we'd have the subsidy. So I got a bit of sleep that night, knowing that our staff and our team would actually get some sort of money.
Yeah. And on that, were staff worried about like their job security, what was going to happen? Did you up your communication? Did you do anything different in that space? Because I know that you're very, built a very big team culture, right? And really into developing your staff. So what did you do differently?
I think what we done at the start is actually, just throw a little love your way. You posted something about at the moment, something about in this time, this is when leaders are going to earn their stripes.
Yeah.
And I just thought that just resonated with me a lot. And I thought, like, yeah, hard, it is. So then at that point, I actually sat down, and that's when we, myself and the area manager, Crystal, sat down and looked at a plan of levels and like what we'd do. So like it just stepped up each level from like level 1 was obviously don't panic, always wash your hands, keep the gym tidy, do all that sort of stuff. And level 2 was no more group training levels. We're kind of doing that. And so we made that plan, got out to all the gyms and put it out to everyone so everyone knew, and they'd wait from myself to go, hey, we're going into level 1, we've gone into level 2, we've gone into level 3, and they all knew what that meant. So that's what we've done with that.
One of my favorite sayings about leadership is that a strong leader knows how to go into a moment of uncertainty and bring certainty to the moment. And I think that is probably something that people have struggled to do in a time like this because the uncertainty is just so massive. So you look for the little areas of certainty you can bring back to try and remove that uncertainty for the people in the moment and in the environment. So obviously you nailed it by the sounds, mate. Well done.
Oh, look out, Jacinda.
So was some of those conversations hard to have? Like, was there a bit of, probably confusion and people not entirely sure how it all work out?
Yeah, well, to start with, especially with the subsidy and everything, it changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
So the goalposts were shifting, and it was quite hard to like with our staff and our team to give them exactly the answer. I found that was a bit difficult. I think we got there in the end, but I just try to be as open and honest as possible with them to see, like, from what I can see at this point, this is what we're doing. And then kind of gave them a little bit of reassurance, or as much as I could. I don't want to say anything false, but like false hope kind of thing. But and I think most of them were good. I think I'm really trying not to throw anyone under the bus, but it was also interesting as a business owner or business owner to see kind of how different staff members took it, and how not really showed their true colours, but you know what I mean. It kind of showed who was on the waka per se and who was on their own. I mean, these sort of times, it is, some people can go into that kind of look after yourself first sort of mentality. But yeah, I think interesting for us is that we've seen some people step up and say things like, "Oh, you can just pay me $50 a week." That's all I need kind of to survive. And then some people, like, day of lockdown, when am I getting paid kind of thing. So, I mean, that's one thing. And it's not like a test, but I mean, it's for us, it kind of also showed a lot of, people's character as well. So not only for business owners it does, but we found for our team, we kind of noticed that as well. Yeah, and
I don't think there's like a right or a wrong with that. I mean, we've seen with people that have been sending messages through to Instagram that we don't even know, that those whole themes are really great. They're going to get a subsidy through to, do you know if I can ask my employer to reimburse my internet now that they want me to work from home? And I'm sort of going like, they don't want you to work from home. Like, we've been forced into we've been forced into a once in a lifetime situation. Everyone's just figuring out how to cope. So I think it's been quite interesting. I mean, what I put it down to is that we're not educated or we're not hardened to deal with a situation like this, right? Like, I bet you haven't thought about a situation, this bad when planning business previously and stuff, right?
Yeah, it's safe to say a pandemic and a full shutdown of the country wasn't in my strategy for when shit hits the fan. No, it wasn't in there.
Yeah. So, what have you been doing with? Have you had any spare time, or have you noticed any difference in your time that you have had?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, like, I didn't say at the start, but I've got 2 children, and one's a 2-year-old boy, so his energy is just through the roof. And we've got a little 7-week-old daughter.
Wow.
We are staying at the in-laws' place in Gisborne on a vineyard, which has heaps of room for the young fella to kick around. But I mean, yeah, 7:30 is the go for me to do anything.
PM, yeah.
Yeah, PM, yep. Yes. So I don't know, man. I guess the good thing is, a big positive is I've been spending a lot of time with my family, or with the kids and the in-laws and stuff like that. So that's been really good. And it just means when I've had that hour to do work, it's usually been stuff that higher level stuff.
Nice.
And like kind of been focusing on like what after this whole thing, if we eventually get to open our doors again, you know, how does that look for us? And I think a big thing I've also noticed is, how do you say this? I mean, through this whole thing, you're looking at ways, we're noticing ways where we could trim the fat, if you will, of our company, and then, but not take away too much. But it's like there's a lot of extra costs throughout this where we've added on what we had perceived as value onto our offering that once they were taken away, no one really cared, kind of thing, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So there's
looking at efficiencies and things like that.
Yes, that's the proper way of saying it. Sorry.
Yes, the geek in me comes out.
Yeah.
So finding ways, and I guess is that because you've got more time to try to think about some of these things, and I guess we're almost forced to think about some of them, right? Because I mean, I've even heard board members at a very high level talking about how effective Zoom is, and they had no idea that it was this good, and they were questioning why do we all travel from around the country to come for this board meeting? Why have we never done this before? Who should have told us to be doing this? And they're legit serious. It's just opening their eyes. Technology is available. And they're like, wow, let's embrace it. I just needed someone to tell me.
Yeah, that's right. And I think heaps of companies will be seeing the whole work from home thing as a massive plus. And like, this is just like anything has forced people to do it. Like it's probably was something they'd have on their list of that. Be really cool if we started doing 2 days work from home. It'd be awesome if, we'll get to it at some stage. And then the whole shut the doors is kind of like, well, we'll have to make it work. And that kind of sink or swim thing usually is where you find people start actually doing something, if you will.
Yeah. So have you done any financial modelling of what business looks like post this, or tried to predict like what revenue might look like in 12 weeks time or even 5 weeks and those sorts of things?
Yeah, we have a bit. I have tried a bit. It's just quite hard. Obviously, you spoke earlier about the uncertainty. And unfortunately, one of our gyms is in the hot bed of like one of the clusters. So I'm assuming that the Matamata gym or area will be possibly in a lockdown longer than some other regions if they do go with that regional approach to the levels. So yeah, I've got like if it all goes to plan and in 4 weeks' time we're allowed to open the doors again and start back up. I mean, for us as a gym with members who pay weekly, we'll, it's just turn the tap back on, basically, and then everyone starts paying again. So that's if everything goes well. If everything doesn't go quite so well, I haven't really dug too far into that yet. I've still got a couple of weeks left to figure that all out. But one thing it has made me think of is at the end of last year, we put a bit of time and money into an app for our members, and within that app it had all your gym workouts, your nutrition plans, and a lot of articles on like mindset and all that, but one big part of it was home workouts within it. And then with this happening, we've had something, a lot of other gyms, you'll see them not scrambling, but they'll be doing live Facebook kind of workouts or having to figure out how that goes. For us, having that already in our app was great because it was like all we did was tell people, hey, in your app it's got home workouts, so just flick over to that. In hindsight, like moving forward, what we'll do is we'll tailor it that, let's say the membership's about $15. The first $5 of your membership, the basic thing is the app. So that, and then the rest is the gym for the physical gym part. And then if we do have another pandemic, COVID-20 or whatever it is, it means we still have that online offering that's legit. That means we can still have the 2,000 people we have as members paying $5 a week instead of $0, I think. that's one thing I'm kind of pushing around in my head at the moment to try and learn from what we are doing now, to try and, if anything like this happens again, we can negate it a little bit and have some form of income.
Have you guys done any virtual training or anything like that with the customers? So, like, I was just thinking, you could almost pull them all together into a Facebook group and charge them to get in almost, and say, right, who really wants to put their money where their mouth is and carry on doing some training over this period, join in here and we'll do live workouts with you rather than the stream on?
Yeah, so like we do have our closed Facebook group, Fitzone Tribe group, and so the way we kind of structured it is like we added all this value to the membership and everyone paid for it, like it was just all included. So it was like, this is what your gym costs and you get this stuff for free, which is probably, in hindsight, not the way we probably should have done it. But yeah, so 100% right. Like what you're saying there is probably where we're looking to in the future to kind of future-proof ourselves from, running into the zero income thing.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't expect that it would happen again, right? Well, we'd hope not, but I guess it's potentially another outcome. But I mean, no one would get into business if they expected to have zero revenue, right? Like, it just wouldn't be. Right. Yeah, but maybe.
When do I sign up?
Yeah, yeah. So, I was going to ask you before as well. How have you stayed so positive throughout this? Because obviously, like, one thing that we've spoken about with other clients is that staying positive is so important so that your negativity or your fear doesn't rub off through your customer base or your employees and things. Like, you probably think quite similarly to that, I'd imagine. How have you, in all this despair, managed to keep your positivity and mood upbeat?
Like anyone, we're all human, so you have your moments. I have a little routine. It's called SAVERS, if you want to Google it. It's an acronym. Yep. Oh shit! Now I have to remember exactly what it is. It's like a routine to start your day, like starting your day the right way. And for me, it's got so the S stands for silence, which is, if you're a religious person, like, you could have prayer. If you're not that way inclined, you can meditate, or you can just literally just sit there without your phone for 60 seconds and breathe. That's like when you first get up. Yeah. A is for affirmation. So you think of an affirmation. So one could be, I'm going to be the most positive person you've ever met in the world. And it's a bit of like Cool Runnings in the mirror, I see pride, I see power, I see a badass mother. Yeah, so it's that. And then the V is for like visualization. So you're actually visualizing yourself being that person and what you look like in that role. And E is exercise, which we are practitioners of. If you are limited for time, like enough, even 10 push-ups is enough to kind of get the blood going into your brain and all that sort of jazz. And then we're up to ER. Oh,
reading.
That's it. Reading. Yeah. So I kind of clump that together with a bit of te reo training I'm doing. I try to do about 30 minutes a day. So that's my reading part. And then S is scribe, which is for me basically, scribe, the Crusader. It's basically, I just use that to kind of write out what I'm going to do for the day. You can do it all different types of ways, but that's how I kind of do it. It's been a bit hard with the kids and everything going on to do it in the morning, so I do it at lunchtime, which is a bit ass about face, but I make it work.
That's a great. I'm gonna have a little test of that. And you mentioned that the kids. I'm going to ask because I imagine 1,000 people want to know, how do you juggle everything?
3
big
gyms, hands.
Big hands. Wife,
see, look, they're massive. Look how big they are.
Those are big mittens. Yeah, they could hold a lot of dumbbells, no doubt.
How do you juggle it all? Got to have a partner in crime. So Emma, my wife, she takes care of most things on the home front, and she probably won't mind me saying this, but she loves working in gyms. She loves our business. So for her, it was quite a big thing for her to step back a bit out of the business to take care of the kids and then allow me to still, be fully in our business. We have a whole lot of whānau support up, especially back in Matamata with my family. I've got 5 siblings, and my parents are great with the kids as well. And then being down here in Gisborne with Emma's parents, we've got Nana and Papa on tap as well, so they can jump in.
Yeah.
And it's just about, I've removed, and actually I'm not actually my role is mainly on the business, so I'm not literally at the desk signing up people at any of the gyms. My office is at home, so I already work from home. So that means I can slot my day between family, work, and kind of exercise and all that sort of jazz.
Nice. And what about like staff in this day and age? And you've got like a lot of younger staff. So are they hitting you on Facebook with questions, problems, like those sorts of things, probably late at night? Does that happen, or do you set boundaries around some of that stuff?
It's really, so we got boundaries on that, and we try to we make it pretty clear. Like, I don't like using the word hierarchy, but kind of almost like a flow chart of who you need to talk to. Yeah. And Lennie is like way off the list. Dropped off the list down around the corner kind of thing. And we use a tool called GROW, which is basically another acronym. And so basically, if you have an issue, it's G stands for your goal, R is for the current reality, O is for what are your options, so you want 3 options, and W is which option. So basically, if you have an entry-level staff member who has an issue, toilet won't flush, if they ring up their manager or me or someone else, the first question to them is, have you used GROW to try and sort it out first? Nice. So that's a pretty good tool. You have to keep using it, obviously, and it's quite hard. I'm a person who likes to quickly give you an answer, and you call this person and you fix it with this, and you quickly do that. And I like to and that's done. And then a lot of it's on yourself and your managers to allow the staff to come up with the answers themselves. And that's probably the hardest bit, is removing yourself out of it.
Yeah, smart. So that's obviously, you've got to create a culture of people wanting to use that, right, of being on board with that. Do you explain that when you onboard people, like staff?
Yeah. So it's part of the onboarding process. We bring it up we have weekly meetings with all the staff. And we quite often will go back to it. I mean, we do slip in and out of it. It's like anything, you have to stay on top of it. And just like any sort of culture thing you're doing with your business, it's an ongoing machine that always needs oiling and servicing, and it takes a lot of that's where the work part is just keeping it relevant within your culture, I think.
Yeah, and that's where I talked yesterday briefly with another client around how I think business owners are almost like a little bit prepared for recessions, where, especially in the small business space, because, for you, for me, for a number of small businesses, if we stop doing stuff, we end up in our own little mini recessions that's just happening in our bubble. Like, not getting the work I used to, not getting the results, people aren't happy, like all of those sorts of things start happening, and everything starts contracting. And I think we set like a massive scale, and it's so important that you are building on top of those fundamentals all the time, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think it also came from my previous job, and I've done a lot of work with the Breakthrough company, with a lot of training for our business training. So when I went into business to start with, they preach a lot about, their main thing is your own health, your family, and work in that order.
Yeah.
Obviously, without your own health, you can't look after your whānau. Without your whānau, what's the point in having, the work part? So we planned a lot of it when we started the business from the start. We almost planned our business around the lifestyle we wanted. And quite often, businesses are they're just gung-ho with their business, and the other stuff will just do what it does. And I'm smashing it out the work. Our business is growing exponentially. But on the other side, your family are on the back seat, or they're getting the no time with you. They never see their dad or their mum. And I think we just had that. We wanted it different. We wanted it to be that. We wanted to have to spend time with our kids and be able to do cool things when we wanted to, and kind of tailor our work. So from the start, it was quite hard at the start, obviously, because we had to bring staff in, train staff up, and that takes a lot of time and money. And it's that whole better versus easier thing. Probably easier just to do it yourself. but better in the long run to actually train someone up and then make the mistakes with them, and then they leave to pursue a rap career in Los Angeles. So then you get the next person in, and then, so you're always kind of, but it's a massive learning process. And I mean, it's proved really good for Emma and I, because we've been able to step back and have time with the kids and with our families also. And so we find that like a massive part of how our business works.
Nice. From Matamata to Los Angeles, the rappers, they're taking over. Lastly, mate, I want to ask you, what do you see being the impact or effect that this is going to have on the fitness space as a whole, rather than just you guys?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was a lot of this online malarkey, or, all the online stuff was in the pipeline for a lot of people. Like, it's that similar thing where, we got to do that at some point. Well, we're halfway through sorting that. It's kind of getting done. I think a lot of that has just supercharged people, once again, forcing them into that lane, and kind of think, shit, how do we make this work if we shut all the doors? And so I think out of anything, it's probably supercharged gyms and that, focusing more on that whole online app sort of environment to kind of, I think it's just going to force them into it. Long term, it's once again, there's a lot of the uncontrollable stuff out there at the moment. So it's hard to say, but I think more than anything, we're taking that as the point of like looking at where do we kind of miss the mark when all this happened, and trying to just to make sure that we've learned from that, I guess, mistake, and we've made that learning, and definitely don't want to make that sort of error again. And how can we safeguard ourselves from it happening again? Yeah.
I wonder if like people will go into a genuine hybrid fitness routine where it's like, right, I don't need to go to the gym 5 times anymore. I can do 2 of those workouts from home and really push myself, or I can go for a run on one of those days and then demand cheaper gym fees, but they still want to go to be able to really lift some heavy tin on a couple of days in the sauna.
That's right.
But people will adapt a little bit, or realise like, you can do some of this stuff. And that's where it'll be interesting to see you guys all get creative in that space, eh?
Yeah, I think you're bang on. There's a lot of people who haven't even given it a go, like working out at home, or even looked at the home workouts on our app at all. And, and it's like, there'll be a lot of people, I guess I've spoken to some other people in the industry, and they've felt like possibly people would be like, I don't actually need that gym membership whatsoever. I'll just stay at home and do my thing. And the thing with that is that's also cool, because that means they're doing what's best for them also. I mean, it might cost you a member, but we really want members who are really keen to be a part of Fitzone and really use their membership as much as possible. But I think, like I said earlier, we're looking at like staging our memberships more based around a online offering matched with the physical offering, and kind of like make sure that we have both the options going, so we don't really get hit as bad as we have this time, I guess.
Nice, man. I feel like we could talk for hours. One thing I do want to quickly ask you before we wrap up is, I've been to one of your awards nights, and you have an awards night for your members, for staff. And I think you've got a real community focus underlying. You used the word before and it triggered my memory, underneath what you're doing, or even on top of it and wrapped around it. And how important do you think that's been to some of the growth and success of what you guys are doing compared to what other people have probably tried to do in those regions in the fitness and gym space?
Oh, good question. So when Emma and I started out with everything, our purpose, we sat down and like our vision purpose is to bring a great health and fitness experience to the rural communities of New Zealand. There you go. I think that's 100% correct. So that's kind of where everything runs off that. So what we found is in the smaller towns, you don't really get that full. What they do bring is a really good community feel, but they usually drop the ball on maybe the more professional side of things. So what we wanted to bring is that professionalism, but then also, really hold on to that community part. And I think we've done that with how much we have great staff members, and we really invest in them. So that means they really grow those communities themselves in the gym. And it's a massive part. A lot of people throw it out there in their marketing and stuff, like community, we're here for your community. sort of gym style thing. And yeah, it's one of those things that comes along with the culture as well, like not only the culture of your staff, but of your gyms as well. It's like a constant moving thing that you need to keep kind of turning over. And I think with the awards, we just wanted to really showcase, members that have done great stuff throughout the year, staff that have done great stuff throughout the year, and then why not get everyone together and kind of celebrate that together. And it's also our staff Christmas dues, because what we were doing is instead of spending a whole lot of money just going and playing golf and getting your staff getting twisted, why not invest that money into like something that's, hey, you can still have quite a bit to drink, but it's into something that's adds quite a bit of value to our business, we feel. Yeah,
nice. Oh, that's awesome, mate. It's good to see you doing it differently, and leadership as well, just doing it how you guys want to do it, and being brave enough to do that.
Cheers, right, mate. We're having a go. Giving a red hot crack.
That's the way. All right, mate. Well, I won't hold you up any longer. You've probably got your own time to enjoy after getting the kids to bed, mate. So I'll let you finish the beer. Thank you so much for that. I think there's a lot of value there, and I think it's interesting and valuable for people to hear from other business owners and just get some lessons from them as well. So thank you, mate. Enjoy. It's Friday tomorrow, isn't it? It almost feels like every day is Monday, doesn't it?
Every day's the same, man. Yeah. But I tell you what, every day ends with a beer, so it's all good.
That's the way. All right, if you want to find Lennie and Fitzone, then you guys are on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. So look up Fitzone and keep an eye on what they're up to.